Welcome to Anchor Waves, a space where we breathe, reflect, and let the tides of truth carry us toward peace. This is episode 2, and I am your host, Dr. Eunice Menja. If you're joining me for the very first time, let me remind you why we are here. Anchor Waves is about pausing, just like a ship drops anchor in the middle of rough seas, so the storms of life don't drift us too far away from who we really are. In episode 1, I shared a personal story about surprising my husband to a birthday cruise, but it wasn't just about a celebration of a birthday. It was about learning that sometimes we need to stop, anchor ourselves, and simply be. So this morning or this evening, depending on where you are, will you please grab your cup of tea, coffee, or maybe just water in a fancy glass, whatever makes you feel anchored, because today's topic is very, very close to my heart, and maybe it is to you: forgiveness and reconciliation. We live in a world where people carry very heavy rocks of betrayal, wounds, words that cut, abandonment, abuse, silences that scar, and being taken advantage of. These rocks weigh down our souls. Maybe it's time to pause and pick those rocks out of your backpack, because, let's be real, how heavy are they? Oh, but wait, it isn't that fast or that easy. Forgiveness is not dropping everything and pretending it never happened. Forgiveness is learning how to put those rocks down one by one. And sometimes learning how to use those same rocks to build boundaries that protect your peace. So stay with me. Take a deep breath. Feel the anchor. Feel the waves. As always, I begin with something personal. For years, I carried rocks I didn't even have names for. Scars from my family members, scars deeper than I knew. Some of the most painful scars surfaced when I lost my mother. Her death made the rocks heavier and heavier. The wounds felt fresh. To grieve with unhealed scars, let me tell you, is like trying to climb Mount Kilimanjaro with a heavy backpack and heavy boots. Oh man, that is heavy. That grief plus pain from 2 other sources. Obviously, those are stories for another day. Almost sent me to the grave myself. The truth is, death and grief echoed inside me every day. I needed therapy, and therapy I got. There I was in a therapy room, holding my heavy rocks of unforgiveness, carrying them quietly, pretending they didn't weigh me down. One day, my therapist asked me to write down the names of everyone I had refused to forgive. I filled several pages. She looked at me and said, that makes sense. Then she stood up and hugged me. I yelled in pain. I collapsed on the couch and slept for 30 minutes. It was in that sleep that something shifted inside me. I realized forgiveness wasn't about excusing what had been done to me. It wasn't about saying their actions were okay. Forgiveness was about refusing to let the wrongs, the words, the wounds control me anymore. And When forgiveness finally came, it was me choosing to reconcile with my spirit, choosing to see myself as a child of God, accepting that those who wronged me were also children of God and only God could change them. That's really what forgiveness was. That was freedom for me. Okay, let's pause here. Let me anchor this truth. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is not denial. Forgiveness is freedom. Fast forward to today. As a therapist, I now sit with people who are brave enough to share their stories, their abuse, their rejection, their betrayal. In my therapy room, I often say, you can't heal what you won't name. You can't release what you refuse to acknowledge. Like my therapist once helped me. I asked my clients if they would like to write down those names of those who wronged them, or the names or the words of those wrongs, not to keep them, not to send them anywhere, but to trash them right in my office or in a place of their choice. Because when you name your pain, like I was abandoned, I was betrayed, I was silenced, I was abused, you pick up each rock by its name. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, but at least you can see it. And once you see it, you can choose what to do with it. And here's the shift. You don't have to throw that rock at someone, not even at those who hurt you. You don't have to keep it in your backpack either. You can set it down, or you can use it to build something. Something like a wall that blocks toxicity, a boundary that protects your peace, a foundation for your next chapter. That's what forgiveness looks like. Not ignoring the rock, but choosing what you will build with it. Remember this, forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay. Forgiveness is saying, I refuse to let what they did to me control me or my life anymore. And now I want you to take another moment to breathe. Take a deep breath. Would you like to place your hand over your heart? Feel your heartbeat. Anchor yourself right there, right now. Be present. Be safe, because you are safe. So, my dear listener, this episode isn't just my story. It's ours, across many cultures, across many nations. Forgiveness has always been part of survival. You know where it comes from in Africa? There's a proverb that says, when there is no enemy within, the enemies outside cannot harm you. In Asia, wise people say holding onto anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Can you imagine that? And in the Middle East, there's a poet that reminds us to forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover the prisoner was you. So, whether you are in Nairobi City or New York City, forgiveness speaks the same language in the human soul. It's the sound of chains falling. It's the sign that comes after years of holding your breath. It's the wave that recedes after a storm, leaving calm waters behind. But let's be honest, forgiveness does not always mean reconciliation. Sometimes reconciliation is safe, sometimes it isn't. Forgiveness is an internal release. Reconciliation, on the other hand, is a bridge, and you only build that bridge if the ground is safe to stand on. Both are scared, but they are not the same. Some of my friends have asked me, why did you call this podcast Anchor Waves? Well, it began on the cruise, watching a huge ship anchored in the middle of the sea. I fell in love with the image because life will always bring storms. People we love and help me disappoint us. Waves will rise, boats will rock. You must stay anchored at all the time. For those of us who are Christians, we call Jesus our anchor. He is the rock of ages. But whether you share that faith or not, anchoring deep in forgiveness, in boundaries, in peace keeps your soul steady. The storm may rage, but you remain anchored all the time. Forgiveness is your anchor. Reconciliation, when possible, is the wave that carries you toward healing. Boundaries are the rocks you build into walls that shelter you from the storms. We know that some wounds pass through generations. Parents wounded by their parents who were wounded by their parents. So when you forgive a family member, you are not only releasing one person, you are interrupting generations of pain. You are saying this cycle of pain ends with me right here. But I can't lie to you. Forgiveness isn't about what they deserve. It's about what you deserve. You deserve peace, you deserve freedom, you deserve the ability to breathe again. The Bible is very clear. For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. That comes from Matthew chapter 6, verse 14. Forgiveness is obedience. Forgiveness is a release. Forgiveness brings you peace. But the Bible never says you must reconcile with someone unrepentant, abusive, or unsafe. Forgiveness is one-sided, though. Reconciliation is two-sided. Without safety, honesty, and willingness, it is not possible to reconcile with everybody, and it's not even wise. So in my own story, I choose to forgive family members who wronged me, not because they apologized, they didn't. Not because they changed, they have never changed. I forgave because God commands me to do that, and because I refuse to carry that bitterness. But I also choose boundaries. Boundaries are not unbiblical. They are wisdom. Proverbs 4 verse 23 says, "Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life." Guarding your heart is not selfish. It is doing what the Lord says. It is part of stewardship. I have another story in my life. Not long ago, I was fueling my car at a gas station when I noticed this orange stinging insect inside my car. I jumped out. The insect flew away, and I thought I was safe. But then it burst right back into my car. And I say to myself, I'm not getting back in that car until that bee is gone. Why? Because I know what a bee does. It stings. That's how it works with relationships. You forgive, you pray, but if someone keeps flying back into your life and stinging you, wisdom says, don't sit in the same car with them. They're gonna sting you. Whether you are in Nairobi boarding a matatu or in New York waiting for a train, if your abuser is right there next to you, guess what? Step aside. Wait for the next train. Wait for the next matatu, because you want to be safe. Forgiveness does not mean you keep getting stung. Love does not equal access. Access is a privilege, and privileges can be lost. So hear me very clearly. Forgiveness does not require you to stay in toxic or abusive relationships. Forgiveness sets you free. It gives you boundaries that keep you safe. Because even Jesus forgave, but he also withdrew from people who wanted to harm him. He modeled wisdom to us. So will you choose forgiveness, not for them, but for you? Are you going to release that bitterness? Are you going to let God handle justice? Are you going to anchor yourself with healthy boundaries? Because here's the truth. You cannot change people. Only God can. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to let go and give them to him. And because this is something that I always do, even when I am doing therapy with my clients, I want you to know that if no one ever said this to you, let me say it now. I'm so sorry for what you endured. I'm so sorry for the apologies you never received. I am so sorry for the years you lost to confusion, fear, or trying to be enough. I'm so sorry for the moment you questioned your sanity because someone else refused the truth. You aren't crazy. I believe you. You are healing. And you're allowed to be safe. You are allowed to be whole. There are some few things that you can do, like I did myself, but like I do with my clients. I ask people to write a release letter. You never have to send it. Write those boundaries. You will honor them. Share your pain with someone that you feel safe with. Choose one anchor to practice daily. Pray or reflect. Ask yourself, what is mine to carry? What is not for me to carry? Because freedom starts when you release what was never yours to carry. And when you put those burdens down, don't just leave them there. Use those rocks, as I said before, to build boundaries that protect your peace forever. You may reconcile if there is honesty, if you're safe, but if not, you can distance yourself. So today, here is me challenging you. I want you to step back into your own life. I want you to reclaim your voice. I want you to anchor yourself. I want you to dust off that dream you buried. That family friend that you never forgave, call them, forgive them, write to them. You don't have to send that letter to them. Say what they did to you in that letter. Write a book. Start that business. Or maybe just finally rest without guilt. You don't have to feel guilty because you're resting. Self-care is very, very important because life is short and it's yours. And God is saying, daughter, son, live it well. And finally, if you're really struggling with forgiveness or wrestling with pressure to reconcile with someone who keeps hurting you, hear me again. Hear me again. I'm sorry for the hurt. I said I'm sorry for the abuse. You did not deserve it. And you do not have to keep carrying that weight. You may be holding rocks of pain, betrayal, or abuse, but you don't have to hold them forever. Lay them down. Anchor yourself so you don't drift. Because forgiveness, as I said, is not saying what they did was okay. It is saying, I refuse to be imprisoned forever. Freedom begins the moment you release what you are carrying. This is Anchor Waves. I am Dr. Eunice Menja. I really thank you for breathing with me, healing with me, and choosing freedom today. So I leave you this. Forgive always. Reconcile wisely. Until next time, stay anchored, stay free, Don't forget to share this episode with someone that might need forgiveness or even reconciliation. Be safe.